Hello, Desert Highlands members. Nick Gerstner, your CFO here. And from an HOA infrastructure related perspective, the most common feedback we receive is on the condition of the roadways, whether it's the delamination of the main streets or the cul-de-sacs that have large cracks. We couldn't agree more that the roadways are not up to Desert Highlands standards. Over the summer, we partnered with Frank Civil Consulting to complete a full engineering of every road in Desert Highlands. The goal is simple: understand the true condition of our pavement, identify where repairs or replacement will be needed, and build a long term plan that protects the quality and beauty of the community. I sat down recently with CEO and founder Michael Frank and President Tyler Ware to discuss Desert Islands roadways. If you're short on time, don't fear. We're providing a written narrative of this interview alongside with the full investigative report and 10-year management plan. In the interview, we cover topics like delamination and wide cracks and what the best sequencing of the project might be for the future. So I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did creating it. And if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. Michael, before we dive into the findings, would you mind sharing a brief introduction about yourself and the firm?
Sure, you bet. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Nick. Yeah, I'm Michael Frank. I'm the owner and chief executive officer of Frank Civil Consulting. With me today is Tyler Ware, our president, and oversees all of our day-to-day operations. Uh, I personally built roads and infrastructure for 28 years before retiring as executive vice president of a large heavy highway company here in the Valley by the name of Markham Contracting. At that time, I started Frank Civil Consulting originally to assist developers with pre-development services in October of 2005. When 2007 came around and the market tanked, then our development clients asked us to start looking at their existing infrastructure, and which is what got us into forensic engineering for asphalt related components, and stormwater. So from there, fast forward, Tyler has been with me for 15 of those 21 years, almost 21 years. And we are lockstep in everything we do together for the company. We do this not only in the state of Arizona, but also in Southern Nevada, Southern Utah, Southern California. So anyways, very, very familiar with the Desert Highlands community. We have work in Troon, DC Ranch. We're doing several communities there in DC Ranch, Desert Mountain, etc. Our role as a consultant is to come and educate our clients so they can make informed decisions using our combined almost 200 years of knowledge and experience. I did say that we are a firm registered civil engineer. Our VP of engineering, Rob Kidder, is a former assistant city engineer for Mesa for 10 years, and prior to that, city engineer for Colorado Springs for 20 years. Tom Beck, another one of our senior engineers, has got over 45 years of knowledge and experience. And then Zach Smee, our other PE, has also got about 10 years of knowledge. Tyler brings about 25 years, and then our field team combined provides over 45 to 50 years themselves. So with that, we combine almost 200 years of knowledge and experience we bring to our clients. And like I said, the role of a consultant is to educate our clients. That's our role. We're not here to do anything that enlighten you as to what we see, and based on our years of experience, what our recommendations are, and then walk with you through the process as a team member.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. For residents that may be hearing about the roads for the first time, why would a community like ours commission a full pavement analysis like this?
No, there's too much minutia when it comes to asphalt overall. There's a lot of people that in this industry that are salesmen that just want to sell you what they have to sell. Our role is not to sell you anything. Our role is to educate you so you can make an informed decision. Your roads are if not your most expensive assets, one of your most expensive assets overall. And Desert Highlands has several miles of road to maintain, and therefore not properly maintained could actually cost the community more money than save them money. So the role here is to make sure that the decisions that are made are appropriate for the community to do the right remediation and maintenance and planning. So that's why you hire a third party, is we have only an investment in you as a client, and we're not here to sell you anything. Our role is to educate.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Can you share, it's impossible to share the 100+ page report that you guys provided doing your analysis, but can you just give us an idea of some of the scope of the investment that Desert Highlands is facing based on the report that you guys did?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, as you know, Nick, you've got a lot of road here, a lot of miles of road, and the pavement is in excess of 20 years of age. And contrary to what you might hear from salesmen in the industry, all asphalt has a shelf life. If you talk to any geotechnical engineer, they will tell you the shelf life of an asphalted concrete pavement in this geographic area is 20 to 25 years. And unfortunately, reserve companies don't do a proper job of planning their communities for the inevitable removal and replacement. And even some reserve companies don't even put any planning in for removal and replacement. And so therefore they leave their communities in a very awkward position as far as having the capital to do what's appropriate. So with that, as your pavement ages and oxidizes, it's going to lose the structural integrity, and you're going to start seeing structural cracking occurring. That it's isolated at the beginning, but as it gets older and older, more oxidization, more fatigue, then it becomes a stage where cost effectively it doesn't make sense to do piecemeal patching and seal coat. When we did our evaluation, we looked at it from the perspective of what made the most appropriate sense based on each road. We did not do it as a general consensus overall. It was by street within the community, and the report, the 100-page report, as you mentioned, is by street and including the golf club parking lot. So therefore, each street tells a new story, and based on that story is how we developed our strategy. The other thing that's taken place in the community, which is extremely unfortunate, is that the previous vendor that applied a seal coat either did not properly treat the surface before it was applied or over applied the product. And now you have peeling and delamination occurring all out throughout the property. Unfortunately, when you have something like that, you cannot correct that with further seal coats. It's like trying to paint chipped paint, is the term I like to use, because there, whatever you're covering over is going to continue to peel and lift what goes over the top of it. And so therefore, applying more seal coat is a really tremendous poor use of the community's resources. So in those streets, we're looking at either mill and overlay or full reconstruction.
Yeah, can you touch base a little bit more on the mill and overlay and or reconstruction? And if we did a mill and overlay, uh, when we would see some of those cracks coming back?
Okay, so bottom line, the only reason why we would even consider an edge mill and overlay if there's not a lot of structural fatigue that you're covering up as a part of that edge mill and overlay. And in some cases in the Desert Highlands community, there are streets that have delaminating seal coat, but the structure is still generally good. Okay, so maybe isolated pavement repairs before you do the edge mill and overlay. So what an edge mill and overlay is the where your where the pavement ties into the concrete curb, you're going to do what we call a wedge mill. So you're going to be cutting a slice out against the edge of the curb, so that when the overlay butts to the curb, the top of the pavement is approximately 1/4 inch above the top of the curb. Okay, and then the rest of the pavement stays in place and is overlaid over the top with new asphalt. Okay, with regard to an overlay, where there are cracks, and there are wide cracks in some locations of the community, those cracks can reflect anywhere from 18 to 24 months after overlay is completed. And so that is something to be expected. It is a structural enhancement. It's not just a maintenance deal, but you can only anticipate really 12 to 15 years of anticipated life of a mill and overlay versus 25 years or so with reconstruction. In addition, the cost of a mill and overlay is approximately 60% to 65% of full reconstruction. So think in terms of we're getting less than or about half the life for 60 to 65% of the cost, okay, versus full reconstruction. Full reconstruction obviously is removing all the pavement in its entirety, addressing the base and subgrade to make sure that they are structurally stable before a reapplication of the new pavement. So that's the difference between the two.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so it sounds to me like reconstruction, if we're looking for the most visually appealing roadways, reconstruction is the main way that you get a longer term visually appealing roadway. Is it
That
would
is that is
okay,
correct. And
perfect.
also the initial maintenance will not be as costly as an overlay because, like I said, you'll see reflective cracking, generally hairline to start, but then you'll be doing crack cleaning and filling pretty quickly. We're on a new construction. I would not expect to do much crack filling in the first 6 to 8 years, if any.
Love it. Thank you, sir. You can you give us kind of like a time frame that from a cost perspective that is the best for this market in Arizona?
Well, right now, the thing about asphalted concrete is asphalted concrete isn't like fuel at the pump. Okay, so when asphalt's made, it's created from the bottom of the crude barrel, meaning everybody else gets their crude barrel material before asphalted concrete. Asphalted concrete's more governed by the commodity, so the availability of the product. And to give you a specific case in point, back in 2020, Q4 of 2020, asphalted concrete was about $65 a ton for the asphalted concrete mix. And then we had in 2021, when the change in leadership for the country, they eliminated the Canadian pipeline. We had the issues with Ukraine, et cetera, that impacted the commodity. And when it impacted the commodity, then all of a sudden oil prices went up, price of crude barrel went up because it wasn't available. And asphalted concrete went from $65 a ton in Q4 of 2020 to $105 a ton in Q1 of 2021. Now, fast forward, asphalted concrete prices are probably now about $85 to $90 a ton. So it's gone down some, but will we see $65 a ton again? No, I don't think we'll ever see that again. So it's really, it's a risk the more you stretch this out over a period of time for reconstruction. But at the same point in time, we understand that there are financial restraints that need to be addressed. And so we work with our communities based on that.
Awesome. That's a great lead into the next question. Reading the report, there's roughly, $7 million worth of cost in the 10-year management report that you provided, along with your investigative report of the roadways. When it comes to phasing out the project, can you give us a little background on how you think the project should be phased out?
Well, first of all and foremost, you want to take care of preventative maintenance first, right? So our plan initially handles doing preventative maintenance, crack cleaning and filling, isolated pavement repairs, things that on pavement where we can optimize pavement life, we want to do so. Where there's delaminated seal coat, excessive structural fatigue, that's not going to change. And so it's going to be more costly to do. So we want to bring our dollars forward for preventative maintenance to optimize the roads that can benefit from that and integrate reconstruction as a part of the moving forward plan based on our clients' ability to fund it. So preventative maintenance first, it's least expensive, and then into reconstruction as it can be phased in based on the fiscal ability of the community.
Awesome. If there's one message that members should really take away from this interview, what do you think that message is?
Your asphalt is one of your most expensive assets. And I'm going to conclude with where we started, which is it needs to be properly maintained to optimize its life because you're going to be spending that much dollars over a period of time. We want to make sure that not only this, but the follow-up maintenance is appropriate to optimize the investment that the community is making in their roads. And so we're here to ensure that the decisions that are made with our clients' eyes wide open, right? So we're going to provide all the knowledge and insight so that you and your fellow management and the community are articulate in the decisions that are made to make sure that your investment is maximized.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And before we wrap up, I just want to touch base on a few, you know, items again, just to make sure that we're clear on them. So the delamination that we're seeing, or any of those wide cracks that our members are seeing right now, that's not something that we can just seal coat and move on, right? That's not the
Right.
corrective way to handle those issues.
Right. Well, first of all, the wide cracks are a result of the emulsion in the asphalt. I think there's a misconception that wide cracks are something that are resulted to the subgrade. Actually, the subgrade in the North Scottsdale area is very granular and very solid and very stable. But unfortunately, the plant that did a lot of the plant mix for the North Scottsdale area had issues with emulsion. And if you were to drive around, if you have friends or family that live in the North Scottsdale area as well, look all around Troon, go out to Desert Mountain, you will see wide cracks, some cracks 4 to 6 inches in width. And that's just a result of the emulsion in the asphalt and not the subgrade. However, with regard to the seal coat, unfortunately, like I said, it's going to continue to peel. And as you saw, or as you're experiencing, not seeing, as you're experiencing, it's continuing to digress all over the community and covering it up. First of all, seal coats are opaque, they have opacity. So if you try to cover it up, and I think there's been some areas where they have attempted to cover it up, you can still
Oh yeah.
see the
Mhm.
peeling below it. And then you can also see where the peeling below it's lifting up the product that they applied over the top to try to cover it up aesthetically. So unfortunately, this is a problem that you cannot resolve with an emulsified seal coat.
And we are moving forward with crack cleaning and filling this
Correct.
year, just in order to minimize the water intrusion into the subsoils below. There's certain ways we maintain the wider cracks from an early standpoint, but at this point they've been filled with rubber, mastic, many different products over the years. So this product we're using this year will be majority just standard rubber because there's not much of a void there in depth.
But the idea behind crack filling is, Tyler, thank you for bringing that up, is to reduce moisture intrusion into the subgrade. But as far as seal coat, where the seal coat's applied, there's too much product there. What we don't want to do is exacerbate the delamination that's already occurring. So we're strictly sticking with pavement repair and crack fill on the immediate future.
Awesome. And then I wanted to touch base again on a point that I think is super important. Uh, your study is by each individual roadway, and you're not just applying a reconstruction across the entire community, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. Unfortunately, there are engineers out there that use what they call the pavement index, asphalt pavement index, which is basically if one road, they'll give it a percentage of wear versus another road. And so if one road's 70 and another road's 40, they combine the two. And so we're going to treat it as a 55 across the board. We don't do that. We look at it as each street tells its own story, and therefore each street's going to be treated as it needs to be, as its conditions provide.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Are there any questions that we didn't cover during this interview today that you think it's important for our members to know about?
Well, and Tyler, if you want to add to this, but what I would only say is when we go through the competitive bidding process, one thing I will stress to the residents is we take a lot of pride in the bidding process. There's two things that are very important when it comes to bidding work like this. One is knowledge and the other one's ethics, and we don't compromise either. The community knows us. I mean, we've been around, and I say the community, the asphalt paving community knows us. We've been around for over 20 years. We have an outstanding reputation for ethics in the community. If you're asked to bid the job, you have a reasonable opportunity to be successful. We don't play games. We don't shop bids. We actually just get the bids, make sure that they're comprehensive, and then they are provided to our client, and the client makes the decision on who they'd like to use for that project. And then from there, we do an owner-friendly contract. We never accept vendor proposals. They have to fill out our bid forms, and then they will sign an owner-friendly contract with the community, and we will act as the community's agent through the process to make sure everything's done correctly. Our specs include governing standards, application rates, tolerance levels, everything we can monitor in the field to make sure that the community gets what they paid for.
Geotechnical testing.
Yeah, geotechnical testing. When we get into reconstruction, we subconsult to a geotechnical engineer to do material testing, field density testing to make sure, again, all the governing standards we set forth are met.
On behalf of the board of directors, the finance committee, and the community as a whole, we appreciate so much this partnership. Thank you for all the work that you guys did over the summer on doing the investigative report. We appreciate your ongoing support as you help us to maintain our roadways in the future. And thank you so much for your time today to explain all of this. And we look forward to continuing the partnership. Thank you so much.
Well, we do too, and we're excited about getting started.